Hello, everyone. This is Stacy. Welcome to the landing. Hi, folks. Today at the landing, we are thrilled to welcome Miss Susanne Taylor, a lifelong softball player whose passion for the game has shaped her journey in incredible ways. Not only has she dedicated herself to the sport, but she is also one of the most humble, kind-hearted, and genuinely grateful people you will ever meet. Her appreciation for the game, her teammates, and the life lessons she has gained along the way is truly inspiring. Join us as we hear her story, the impact of sports on personal growth, and the lasting connections built through the game of softball. Well, welcome back to the landing, and I am excited to have finally been able to catch this busy lady that we have joining us today. I'm going to give her the chance now to introduce herself. So, if you will, tell us who you are, who's your crowd, and where you're from.
Hey, I'm Susanne Taylor. I am from Sea Level, North Carolina. My mom and daddy are Harry Jr. and Danny Joe. Danny Joe's from the island and Harry Jr.'s from Sea Level. We've got the Fish House, T.A. Taylor and Sons down in Sea Level. And I'm really excited to be here talking on the podcast.
We are so tickled to have caught up with you. We know that you're busy and we appreciate your time. So we're gonna jump right in if that's okay with you.
Okay.
This month we have been talking about softball and baseball and how much a part of down east our culture those sports are. And so I thought it was extremely fitting that we invite you in on this conversation. So I want you to think back to when you began the sport and just tell us a little bit of how you got involved, how old you were, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so kind of like you said, I mean, it's kind of ingrained in everybody back home to play ball. So I started back when I was 4 or 5 or whatever it is, whatever age you start t-ball at.
Yes.
When I started, and I think I might have started before I was supposed to because mom was dragging my sister anyway, so she figured she might as well throw me on the team too. But yeah, I played t-ball since I was like 4 or 5 and just played softball continuously until I, finished my 5 years at Meredith College. And I did some other things when I was a kid, like I did dance, gymnastics. I played basketball and volleyball in middle school and, basketball all through high school. But softball was, you know, my sport. And
Mm-hmm.
I had asked my mom one time not too long ago, like, how do you know what to, push your kid into? Because you don't want to, push them into something that they don't like to do or they don't enjoy.
Right.
So I kind of asked her, like, how did you know that softball was my thing? And, she told me it was all about my reaction,
Mm-hmm.
when she said it was time to go to practice. Like, when she realized that I wasn't going to be a dancer, when she told me it was time for, dance class, and I threw a fit about having to get ready to go. But I never had that reaction when it came to softball. I just always loved it.
Yes, well, that was a very wise mother because
Yeah.
that is so true to follow your lead.
Yeah.
Yes. So, do you remember any of your coaches when you were young on T-ball and those younger teams?
Yeah, I definitely do. Well, I mean, I feel like for pretty much my whole childhood near about, my coach was Mr. Doug Garner.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we all played for him and all played together under each other, and we had a really special group there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that, you know, I'll never forget,
Yes.
even getting to play with him in high school and stuff too.
Oh, wow. What a special relationship y'all had then. because he
Yeah.
definitely knew your skills, your strengths, and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we're family, so that helps.
that helps a little bit
Yeah.
too. That's right. Oh, fun. Do you remember your first big moment on the field, or when did you have like an epiphany on your field, and you're like, "Wow, this is fun. This is me."
Um, I don't know if this was technically like my first big moment, but I do like to tell the story about my first home run.
Oh yes. How
Uh,
old were you?
I was in 8th grade and
Mm-hmm.
I was playing middle school ball for Mr. Doug,
Mm-hmm.
and we were playing a home game at Smyrna. And like I said, our group all played with each other, all growing up. Half of us cousins, all hanging out, best friends. Well, my little cousin, I call her little, she's a year younger than me, Taylor Brown, was on the team in 7th grade. And we're playing our middle school game, and she gets up to bat and hits a home run. And my jaw was just on the floor because I could not believe that my little cousin had hit a home run before me. And I mean, I told her congrats, happy for her and everything. But in the back of my mind, I was like, just flabbergasted. So I go up to bat, and then I hit a home run. And
No
we joke
way.
about it. Yes, we joke about it, about how, I didn't even enjoy mine. Taylor's like, yeah, you weren't even happy for me. And I was like, I wasn't even happy for myself. I was just so mad you hit one before me. But it's really funny. We've got pictures of us. We got braces on and side ponytails, looking like a hot mess there with our first home run balls and everything. So I like to tell that story. I don't know if it was my first big moment, but
That was
it's
pretty
one that
big.
I like to tell. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty big. Wow. Oh my goodness. That's fun. Now, what position have you always played the same position, or what did you start out doing?
No, so and when you're a little bit younger, you kind of get moved around everywhere.
Yes.
Um, my main position for the longest time was first base. Once I got a little bit older, I moved over to third base. I played, some different spots in the infield just as a kid. In high school and for most of travel ball, I played third base. But then once I got to college, I went back to first base. So mainly corners, but I also was
Hmm.
a pitcher. I always considered myself to be a first baseman, and I just pitched for fun, you know.
Right,
And it
right.
was something that I know a lot of people in their pitchers, they feel like all this huge pressure, but in my mind, I was like, heck yeah, give me the ball. If I mess up, they can just put me back on first base. Um, so I played first and third, and I pitched.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let's see. When you did you play travel ball for like from very young, or was that more a middle school move?
So I started playing travel ball in middle school. And that was kind of when, it comes to a time when you realize that you want to play in college. You kind of have to come to terms with you're not going to get there if you're just playing rec ball. You've got to
Yes.
get out and get exposed.
Hmm.
So I think I started playing travel ball in middle school, and then when I was in high school, I started playing like showcase travel ball where there would be college scouts and stuff there.
Yes. Yep. Now, your travel ball team, was that a local team, or did you have to literally travel to be on your travel ball team?
Yeah, so I played for a couple different teams, but the main one that I played for, as far as by the time I was playing showcase ball and the team that got me recruited, that was out of Goldsboro. It was
Hmm.
called the Canes Elite, so I did
Hmm.
have to travel for that. Which with travel ball teams, it's not like a middle school or high school team where you're practicing every day together. You might
Right.
practice every other weekend out in the month, and then you're playing tournaments the other weekend. So
Right.
yeah, and there was a team out of New Bern called the Diamondbacks. And,
Hmm.
sometimes we would just, us down east girls, kind of go in together and play in a travel ball tournament. But my showcase team was out of Goldsboro.
Yes. Okay. All right. Did you play travel ball through high school too?
Yeah, I played it through high school too. The main thing, I guess, that helped that go smoother is that it was travel balls mostly, in the summer and in the fall.
Hmm.
Uh, so I was doing something year round, but I didn't have too much piling on top because I would play travel ball during the summer and into the fall, and then I'd play basketball during the winter, and then by the time spring rolled around, I was playing school ball for softball, and then that rolled into the summer. So I pretty much would have either softball or basketball going on with school, and I'm honestly the type of person that thrives on structure and like having to go. I do better that way, and I think it makes you make time for things.
Uh-huh.
But that's just how I am as a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, you're still busy, my dear.
Yes, I am.
Was there a big transition? Because I know when you get on the collegiate level,
Mhm.
there's a transition that happens like any level when you level up. So what
Yes.
was the biggest transition for you going into college ball?
Yeah. If I have to use one word to describe it, it would be humbling.
Oh.
It was a very humbling experience. I committed to play softball at Meredith College September of my senior year. I had been in contact with Meredith. I've been in contact with a couple different schools. I would, email Coach Scavone. She's one of my favorite people in the world.
Mhm.
I would email her, the different showcase tournaments I would be at, my game schedule. She had seen skills videos of me, and I would stay in contact with her, and she came and watched me play. And I went to some Meredith camps, and then, finally, she asked me if I would be an avenging angel, and I told her I would be more than happy to. So I'm really lucky in that I toured Meredith, and from the second I toured it, I knew I wanted to go there, and I was lucky enough to have Coach Tim let me play there.
Oh, wow.
But as far as transitioning, definitely humbling because coming from like such a small place, you're kind of a big fish in a little pond.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good way to
and
put it.
once I got to college, I realized that I was a small fish in a big pond. Um, and that everybody throws harder, runs faster, hits further. And it was just really mentally, I think, challenging more than anything for me. Just kind of staying confident in yourself when you don't feel like you're as good as you once were. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
Especially my freshman year, we had 9 seniors on the team.
Wow.
Um, so I mean, that was your start 9 right there.
Yeah.
So I went from my senior year of high school, I was like the conference regional 1A player of the year to being a bench warmer.
Yeah.
And that was a tough pill to swallow, but it helped
Mhm.
me learn that, everybody has a role on the team.
Mhm.
And I think that was a big growing year for me as a person too.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
when you're at the collegiate level too, is that a year-round type thing where you're training all the time, or do you have, 2-a-days? How does that go?
Yeah, so that pretty much depends on like what division you're in.
Mhm.
So there are different rules for different divisions. Meredith is D3. So the way we're set up is that we have a fall season where we're allowed a certain amount of practices where we have like in-person instruction with the coach.
Mhm.
And then you have a fall game day. You have a certain amount of innings you can play as your fall season. You do training as far as like weights and conditioning. You do that throughout the fall. I think we would do weights 3 times a week, 3 times a week.
Mhm.
And that continues, year round. So in
Mhm.
season, you're doing weights and stuff too, which,
Mhm.
in the fall, when you're in your off season, that's more about getting stronger and getting faster and, everything. Once you're in season, it's more about staying flexible, being stretched, kind of taking care of your body sort of thing.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, when did you start getting more playing time? Because I know, like you said, sitting the bench, watching, cheering, being a team player, that
Mhm.
had to be very humbling. But when did you start getting a taste of playing time?
Yeah. So I'm lucky, I guess, in that I got more playing time than most of the other freshmen.
Mhm.
Um, so
Mhm.
that was good because I was like, oh yeah, I'm on the field. but it was also really stressful because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on the field. But by my sophomore year, I was starting over at first base,
Oh,
and then my
wow.
yeah, and then my junior, senior, and my fifth year, because I had a COVID year, I
Mhm.
was a captain.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. What would you think when I ask you things like this? The most rewarding part of playing at the collegiate level?
I would definitely say the people. Um, and that's honestly what I miss the most. Is it's not even throwing a ball or hitting the ball. It's being surrounded by people and the camaraderie and just working for something and towards something bigger than yourself.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it really was an experience of a lifetime. Like, I got to go to so many places and see things and do things that I never would have done
Like where?
without it.
Give us some examples.
Well, I went to like Alabama. I've
Mhm.
never been to Alabama before. I just got to travel to all these different places.
Mhm.
Um, I got to go wish I had been to Disney World before, but we would go to Disney World every year for spring break. And
As a team,
our
would you play?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So for spring break, and these were like my favorite road trips and stuff that we would do. For spring break, we would play in this big tournament down in Florida. And, we would be on our charter bus and we would drive down there and we'd always stop and get Krispy Kreme donuts on the way. Um, and we would rent these big houses that would hold like 20 people, and we'd rent like two of them next door to each other. And Coach Kim would order like groceries for the week, so we would be cooking and making sandwiches. And
Mm.
obviously, we play softball while we were down there too. But we would go to Disney as a team, and
Oh,
it was a
fun.
great experience. Yeah, and that's something I kind of want to speak on in that Meredith was a Division III college, and that's something that a lot of people would turn their nose up at, saying, "Oh, I have to go D1 or I have to go D2."
Mhm.
But it's really not about the division that you're going; it's about the quality of the program. Because I
Uh-huh.
had a lot of friends that went to either a really small D1 school or went to a D2 school, and they were going to Myrtle Beach for spring break and having to buy their own sweatshirts and sweatpants, where I
Uh-huh.
was going to Disney World and getting free Under Armour stuff left and right. So it
Right.
really doesn't have anything to do with what division you're at, and more to do with the quality of the program, and most importantly, the quality of the education that you're getting while you're at school.
There you go. I mean, that we can't forget that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what was your education? What was your degree in?
Yeah, so I was in business. My undergrad degree was business administration with a concentration in human resource management. And
Mhm.
I double minored in finance and economics. That
Mhm.
sounds really boring and nerdy, I know. Um, but then Meredith actually offers a 4+1 MBA program. So when COVID hit, I got an extra year of eligibility. So I was able to stay at Meredith for an additional year, play a fifth year softball, and get my master's of business.
That was best of both worlds, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And I kind of went down the HR track because I was thinking that I might want to go to law school and do like employment law.
Mhm.
But I think it was kind of the stars aligning what happened with the 4+1 program and COVID and everything that kind of fell right in my lap. So I was like, yeah, I think this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. Wow. That's very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Looking back, what do you think you would call the most challenging part of playing collegiate ball?
There were a few challenging parts. One, which just seems kind of simple and silly, was not being able to go home. That was
Right.
something that was pretty hard, like especially my freshman year. And I do pretty good first part where it was like January, February, March. But once it starts getting warm and you start seeing everybody else going out in the boat, that's when you want to go hunt.
Yes.
Um, so there's that part, but you kind of get used to that. I spoke on it a bit earlier, but a challenging part really for me was just the mental part of the game. And
Mhm.
that was something that I had never experienced really before I got to college. I was always like very confident and very composed when I was on the field. And I don't know if it's because, you work your whole life, or I worked my whole life towards it. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here. I better
Right.
not mess it up or
Right.
what. But I definitely had to learn how to handle performance anxiety and learn that softball is not the only thing in life. My family, my friends are all still going to love me whether I hit a home run or I strike out.
That's
And
right.
I'm the type of person that puts a lot of pressure on myself. So
Mm-hmm.
that was just kind of even stronger when I was at the collegiate level.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, being at Meredith, I would guess that you were able to have some fans come and see some of your games.
Yes, yes, I did. My mom and my dad would come up. Most of the time, they would bring Gatsby, the dog, to
Mm-hmm.
see me. My grandparents would come sometimes if they were
Mm-hmm.
able to make it that weekend. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I remember there was one, and I've got to tell this story.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weekday game, and my dad had told me that he wasn't going to be able to come to the game because they had a load of flounder to pack at the fish house that day that was coming in.
Uh-huh.
And he got up at like 4 o'clock and went down there and started packing it himself so he could make it to the game in time and surprise me.
Oh my
And
goodness.
when I saw him there, I about cried. And it all worked out because I ended up hitting a home run that game too.
Oh
And
my
I'm pretty,
goodness.
yeah. So
Oh,
that was like one of the sweetest memories of my 5 years there too.
oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Knowing your parents the way I do, you and I'm sure you realize this, but you're a blessed little girl. You know that, right?
Oh, definitely. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and I know one of the questions that you had shared before was
Hmm.
like, who are some of my biggest influences?
Yes, that's where
And
I'm going next. So who
yes,
would you say?
I would definitely say my parents,
Hmm.
in that they have always supported me in whatever I wanted to do, whether that was my mom driving me to practice and tournaments, and she had to spend all of her summers on a ball field too. She
Yes.
gave all of that up to watch me play ball, or my dad. There were a lot of games and tournaments and stuff that he missed, but that was because he was home working, so I could go do those things. But he built a batting cage in the front yard. He like pumped metal stakes in the front yard and hung that up. We had
Uh-huh.
like a metal poles in our front yard because he built me a batting cage. He would take me to Virginia for pitching and hitting lessons. He bought like 2 or 3 different pitching machines, and he would have me hit balls in the mullet building at the fish house, or have me pitch in there to him because by the time he got off work it was dark, so we couldn't do it out in the yard. We had to do it in some of like the little buildings and shops at the fish house. So I broke a few windows trying to pitch to him and there in the mullet building. But yeah, they never once made me feel like I couldn't play college softball if that's what I wanted to do. I knew if
Mhm.
I wanted to do that, they were going to help me get there.
Mhm. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. And I love that. That that I hope you know that you were their joy. Still are. You
Oh,
and your sister both. Definitely
yeah.
their joy. What advice would you give to young girls that want to play at the next level?
Yeah. I would say, and this is one thing that my college coach always emphasized to us, they call them student athletes. You are a student before you are an athlete. So if you do play showcase ball and get to where you're able to pick a school, pick one based off their academic programs and what your future would look like beyond the 4 years of playing ball. I know a lot of people will choose what college they go based on a softball program, but
Mhm.
let's say you have a career-ending injury, running to first base or something. Now you're stuck at a school that you were only there for softball and you can't even play softball. So I kind of touched on it earlier, but it's not about D1, D2, or D3. It's about the quality of the education you'll be getting, the quality of the program, and whether the school itself is the best fit for you.
Oh, very good
Um,
advice.
yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
I would also say, just kind of going back to the recruiting process, and people who want to play at the next level. When you get to the point that you're playing travel ball, specifically showcase, and you know that there's going to be college scouts there, you're being evaluated on more than just how you're performing.
Oh, please elaborate on that, because this is important, I think.
Yeah. So it's obviously college coaches want to have a good player on their team, but they also want to make sure that they have, a good human being on their team.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're playing in front of these coaches, you need to think about, how are you reacting when you strike out or if you make an error? Are you going to come in and throw your helmet down or kick your glove? Because that's not a good look.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to, roll your eyes if your coach corrects you for something? Are you on your phone in the dugout?
Mm-hmm.
Is your boyfriend or your daddy carrying around your bag for you? How do you interact with your teammates? There's a whole other layer to it, rather than just if you hit the ball or catch the ball.
Right. Because a lot of people can hit the ball and catch the ball, but it's being that coachability and like you said, being a good human being, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Good
college coaches
teammate.
know what they're talking about, and they can,
Mm-hmm.
they can build on your skills. They
Mm-hmm.
want to see the type of person you are and who they're bringing into their program is a big thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful advice.
Yeah.
If you could go back and you could tell your younger self just one or two things about what was ahead, what would you say?
This is making me get all sentimental thinking about all this stuff and talking about softball. My goodness.
Well, it's been a huge part of your life.
I know it has. I would tell myself that it'll all be worth it. Keep going. Everything that you felt like you sacrificed along the way, as far as birthday parties, sleepovers, anything like that. You were blessed in tenfold by the experience you were able to have at the end of the day. And don't take any of it for granted.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Enjoy the ride.
Yes.
So, what's next for you? What are you up to now that you are graduated and in the real world?
I am working and paying bills and just living this adult life over here that I wanted so bad, and I don't know why. I work for a company out of Raleigh called Electricities. I live in Smithfield. I bought a house back at the end of 2023. I live here with my Bernie Doodle puppy named Fit, so I'm a crazy dog mom. And as far as sports and activity level, I've taken up golfing. Big fan of that. I play pickleball, so I sound like a 65-year-old retired person playing golf and pickleball. I actually just got a bike too the other day. I ride my bike around the neighborhood. So definitely an old person now, but I'm enjoying it. People ask me a lot if I've thought about, playing slow pitch or anything like that. And I don't know. I mean, I played in the alumni game at East Carteret last year, and that was really fun and stuff. But I kind of like that I just closed the book, and I can look back and smile and wave goodbye.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Is there any closing remarks that you want to say that we haven't covered? I have so enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, I have too. Really just thanks for having me. And I think it's really great that softball and baseball was touched on as part of the Down East culture, because it really is, something big for us back in our community, and something everybody does and that we all bond over. And that's some of my best memories, is growing up and our group of girls all playing together. And I mean, I'm still friends, obviously, with most of them, and we'll sit around and talk and joke about these games that we would play, and all the memories from it. So I'm really glad that this is a topic that you decided to talk about and that you had me on the podcast.
Well, who knows? We might get you to come back another time.
Okay.
But this has been wonderful. I really do. I appreciate you, and I can't wait for everyone else to enjoy our conversation as well.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us again to The Landing. This podcast is brought to you by the Core Sound Waterfowl Museum and Heritage Center. I am your host, Stacy Davis Basden, and today's podcast was produced by April Davidson. Tune in again next week as we continue remembering, sharing, and learning together. Until then, stay safe and be kind.